الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Now, ba'd, inshallah, today we are going to be covering the chapter regarding the fasting, those types of fast that when it breaks, you have to make up for the day, and there is no kafara, then there is no expiation on that type of fast, on that type of breaking. So, what nullifies the fast without requires any expiation, and basically, this is going to be those things that if a person does, he will have to make up for the day and he doesn't have to worry about the kafara. So if a person eats something that is non edible or something that is not usually, so if a person, for example, eats raw rice, flour, wheat, grain, all of these types of things, um, the fasting is not going to be it's going to be nullified, but it will not have the expiation because usually this types of things are not eaten for that purpose or for nutrition and etc. أو ملحا كثيرا, if a person eats a mouthful of salt. So a mouthful of salt is something that is not usually eaten. So the fasting will break. He has to make up for the day, but the kafara will not be mandatory. Similarly, eating the stone of a fruit, the pit of the dates, cotton or paper, these are the things that will not make the kafara necessary, but the fasting will break. Um, Eating uncooked items, the things that are supposed to be eaten cooked, you start cooking, eating them uncooked, which have no, which does not mean usually eating in that process. So having to eat that, it's going to be unless if there is an uncooked item that is um, usually eaten for people to eat that type of meat. Like a lot of people eat sushis and stuff. So those are, they're uncooked meat, part of it, the fish inside. So on that, you can't say that because of that, it's uncooked, so you can have no, it will still be considered as eating. This is usually when it's not eaten in the norm, in that process, you eat something that was going to nullify your fast, but it will not make the kafara wajib upon you, compulsory upon you. To swallow something, swallowing a pebble, metal, or soil nullifies the fast while no expiation is necessary. واحتقن, taking a medication through a source that is not using, it will nullify the, for example, if a person has taken or pouring drops of medicine into his nostrils, breaks the fast, but it does not make the kafara necessary upon the individual. Because when you feel the substance in your throat, and if it has gone through your nostrils, so it's going to have the effect on that, and this will nullify the fast, but there's no kafara necessary on that. The forceful pouring of something down the throat. So if someone has poured, first one fasting and forcefully someone has poured something down the throat, it's going to break the fast, but no kafara is going to be necessary on that, no expiation. To drip water or oil into the ear nullifies the fast, and this is the soundest view. So there are two views regarding putting medication in your ears while you're fasting. Um, so the soundest view is that it nullifies the fast. However, there is another view that does not nullify the fast. And the reason why, because the fluid, when it goes into the ears, you are able to feel some of it in your throat. And that's why it makes it part of nullifying the fast. And then you have the opinion on the other side of the minority who actually say that it does not nullify the fast. The soundest of opinion is mainly because it's more ibadah, and in ibadat you take more cautious opinions. It's better to make up for the fast or to have the fast in a problematic situation. So that's why this is considered to be the soundest opinion. applying medicine to a wound of a stomach or head, which then penetrates into the cavity, reaching the inside of the stomach or brain. So if there is a deep cut that the medication has to go all the way inside into these two areas, the head and the stomach, and the medication is felt inside the body after it's gone, you feel the taste in your mouth when that medication has been poured inside. So it's a direct connection. Then, of course, it will nullify the fast, but no kafara will be necessary. If rain or snow water enters the throat and it is swallowed by accident. Now, there is a difference between accident and forgetfulness. Accidents, they nullify the fast, no kafara is necessary. Forgetfulness does not nullify the fast even. So if a person accidentally swallows the snow or rainwater or anything to that effect, then of course fasting will continue. Accidentally swallowed it. He knows he was fasting, but he was just trying to get his mouth wet, and in that process, the water went down the throat. So that was an accident. He did not intentionally open his mouth to drink water. So this will nullify the fast, but no expiation will be mandatory upon him. If one accidentally breaks the fast with the water used for gargling, in that it seeps down one's throat, then expiation is not imposed upon him. So this also will not mandate the expiation. Similarly, if a person he was forced to do some actions which were not supposed to be done during fasting, for example, eating or drinking or having intercourse, he was forced to do that, then this individual, his fasting, of course, will break, but no expiation will be mandatory upon this individual. If a married woman or a person or a slave breaks her fast for the fear of falling ill because of the duties that she has to perform. So if someone had a very hard working day, and this person, this is what he does, this is what his actual work is, and he's not able to bear the difficulty of fasting, so he's allowed to break the fast, and he just have to make up for that fast. He won't be held accountable of giving kafara. Since it's a fard fast, okay, you had a situation where you had to deal with your current situation. Now you break your fast, you get your thirst, quench your thirst, and whatever the difficulty that you had, and then now you have to make up for the fast that you have broken, but there will be no um, kafara attached to that. If a water is poured into the inside of a person who is sleeping, someone is sleeping and the water is poured in the mouth of a person who is sleeping, then he is not liable of expiation. And so this person is not like the one. So basically, this action will not nullify. It will nullify the fast, but not make the kafara necessary upon this individual. If a person who eats after or eating on purpose after eating forgetfully does not impose the expiation, even if he knows the hadith concerning it, and this is the soundest opinion. So if a person knows that if you eat accidentally, your fasting does not break, and he ate accidentally, realized, stopped eating, but he continued eating. Now, of course, he was supposed to stay away after you're supposed to realize, but you still continued with that, or drinking water, or anything that invalidates the fast. You're doing that, and while in the process, you forgot, you started to do, and while in the process of you doing it, you figured out now you were fasting. So you were eating, and now you figured out you were fasting. Now, at this time, you're supposed to stop because the fasting needs to continue. But you knew that it's supposed to continue and is forgiven. but you still ate after that. Now this nullifies the fast, but there is no kafara necessary upon this individual. And that is the soundest opinion. Of course, the other opinion is since he knew and he broke it intentionally, so that it will have to do with kafara. But the soundest opinion is that there will be no kafara, but qada needs to be taking place. If a person eats after making his intention of fasting in the day and not overnight, so let's say if a person, this is talking about a regular fast on the day he woke up in the morning and start eating to have the fast. It was the month of Ramadan because Ramadan is the only thing that makes the breaking of fast expiation kafara. If you break a fast even intentionally after outside Ramadan, then there is no kafara at all. It's just you have to make up for the fast that you have broken. Um, and that is also debatable because since it's an optional fast, so it'll be the reason. So the reason can be relaxed also. So in the situation of Ramadan, you went to sleep at night, you didn't wake up the whole day, you woke up in the morning, and now you started your fasting. You said, I'm going to start my fasting, but later on you broke the fast. So now in this situation, the opinion according to Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi is that you will have to make up for the fast, but there is no expiation. Imam Zufar has the opinion that you'll have to do the expiation as well as the kafara. You have to make up for the fast and give the expiation. So the fatwa is in the call of Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. أو أصبح مسافرا فنوى الإقامة ثم أكل. If a person begins the day as a traveler and then intends to become a resident and then thereafter break his fast by eating. He was traveling, got to a destination, made the intention to stay here for more than 15 days, and now he says, well, after those 15 days, he had made the intention of staying there for 15 days, and after making that intention, he breaks the fast. So since he started the fasting or he was in a situation of fasting while he was traveling, so it's an optional thing that you want to do because you've already been given a leeway from Sharia not to fast while you're fasting. If a person becomes a traveler after starting the day as a resident and thereafter breaks his fast by eating, then no expiation is required. Only the fasting has to be done on a later day. So let's say a person is traveling from here to overseas and his flight is at 1 p.m. So what will be the hukum of this individual? Is he going to fast? How is he going to fast? So this individual will do the suhoor in the morning. After that, he will continue to start his fast because he's muqim. You're not able to, just because you will be musafir, it's not going to make you in a hal that you are able to leave that ibadah at that current time. Because when the hal comes in, then the hukum comes in. If there is no hal, there is no hukum, right? So the hal is being you are in a stage of traveling. And the hukum is that in a stage of traveling, you are allowed to skip the fasting during the month of Ramadan. So if you're traveling later on in the day, you're still going to start your day with fasting. And after you have started your day with fasting, and then you gone on to your journey, while you are in your journey, you are allowed to break your fast, and there will be no expiation, meaning no kafara, and you will just have to make up for that day. However, if you want to continue, you are allowed to continue. This is depending on you, but you still have the permissibility of breaking it as soon as you get into the outside the city limit and you have intended to travel 48 miles or beyond. If a person abstains from eating with no intention of fasting and no intention of breaking fast, then the day is not deemed as fasting because intention is required. However, there will be no expiation of that day. If a person does not intend to make Ramadan fast and he's just going to stay hungry throughout the whole day and without water, without an intention, or he purposely makes no intention, that I'm not gonna make this intention of going to stay hungry, then this individual, he is going to uh, make up for that day, but there will be no expiation. If a person he is um, not known, so for example, you are eating and you don't know the time has passed and you continue to eat. So in this situation, you are your fasting is not going to count because you have eaten after the time has started. So you will have to make up for that day, but there will be no expiation or anything else of an action, drinking water, or I'm having a intercourse with a spouse, any of those that nature you are doing, and then the time has passed and you didn't realize that the time has passed. All of that is going to make qada wajib, but no kafara. There will be no expiation that needs to be given. There is no expiation if a person breaks a fast other than the fast of Ramadan, though one is liable to make up for the day that he has missed. If a person he is trying to relieve his inner desire in a source or way that is not permissible according to Islam, or that it does not have, or that doesn't have a mutual relationship, then it's going to make qada wajib and not kafara. So, for example, instead of having an intercourse with the spouse, you end up taking other means to fulfill your desire. Then those other means eventually becomes the reason of your fasting to break. However, kafara is not wajib, but qada. The sin of that action is on his own. We're not going to be discussing that. We're just talking about what's going to happen with his fasting. The fasting, of course, will break because this action breaks the fasting. But now, do you have to give kafara? No, because kafara it has its own criterias. Now you have to make up for the day. The sin of his own, it's a different platform that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala this is between him and Allah Azza wa Jal. If a person eats the food that is stuck between his teeth, that is the size of chickpeas or greater, the food that is between his teeth, if it's the amount that breaks the fast, then but he did not put it in his mouth, it was already in his teeth, then that's going to break the fast but not the expiation. If a person intends to form his intention of fasting in the day, but he eats forgetfully before making his intention in the day, then he is not liable of the expiation, though he is liable to make up the day that he has broken the fast. So he made the intention, after that he ate, and now after he has eaten accidentally, now he's going to make the expiation, and then after, I mean, he's going to make the qada, but no expiation is required. If a person becomes unconscious or suffers from fainting, even for the entire month of Ramadan, then he is given the status of that as a sleeping person and is liable for the missed days except for the actual days in which one fainted. And if it occurred at night, then one is to make up for the entire period of fainting except the day that follow this night. So basically, if a person suffers from insanity of any part of the month of Ramadan, he is to make up for those days. Now, let's say this is when he gets up from his that situation, but for that day that he has gone unconscious, that day will not be. Because one of the conditions that makes the fasting mandatory upon a person, he has to be in a condition. Now, if this fard is not fulfilled, then of course there is kafara for it that you fid. So there is no, there is fidya for it, no kafara for it. But for example, if a person is sick and he's not able to fast, then that individual, upon him the fasting will continue to be there, but he doesn't have to fast. He will just give the fidya like anybody. Then there is no kafara involved in that because this is something that is exempt by Sharia for those who are going through these conditions. So if one suffers from the insanity for the entire period of Ramadan, he is not liable to make up the days, even if this person is deemed a legal insane and such as that. He only recovers at night. So if the entire month has passed from the beginning to the end and he did not gain any conscious, then there is no fasting upon him because he was not in the stage of conscious. So he had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not given him the order to fast because of the stage that he is in. So inshallah, we are going to finish up this chapter, and then the next chapter is about um, upon whom it is compulsory and necessary to refrain from eating during the day. So upon which individual it is mandatory for him to stay away from eating during the day after when he has come into the month of Ramadan. Inshallah, we'll be discussing that in the next week. We ask Allah to grant us the understanding and ability to practice. Inshallah, if anyone has posed any questions, we will answer those. Inshallah. inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin. والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.